It's been an amazing set of opening talks, I think you'll agree, and just a fantastically musical conference so far. I just really wish I could sing for you, but I haven't had enough to drink yet, essentially, for that. This talk is called The Unified Digital Physical Field. As some of you already know, my name is David. I write a newsletter on trends, technology, and our shared future called New World, Same Humans. And I called it that because the newsletter is underpinned by a single thought, and that is, amid all the change going on out there, amid all the chaos, it often feels like, we are still the same old humans with the same fundamental human needs. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about and writing about human beings, who we are, what we want, what we are, essentially, at heart. But recently, I've been thinking even more about the other side of the equation, the change, this new world we're building. Because I think you'll agree that in 2023, it just feels as though we are on the cusp of something. A constellation of technologies are emerging, and these technologies are becoming exponentially more powerful. We're seeing exponential adoption curves on lots of these technologies. I'm thinking things like AI, which we've talked a lot about, and we'll talk about even more, robotics, green energy, blockchains, virtual worlds. I've come to believe these technologies are about to deliver a wave of change, the like of which we've never seen. It will be a form of migration into a new civilizational system. We're moving away from old linear systems and into connected, exponential systems. It really feels to me like the final death throes of the old world, the pre-internet, not connected world, and the birth of something truly new, the birth of a new world. And I have been asking myself, what at heart is this new world we're building? How can we best characterize it? How can we best understand it? And to fast forward essentially to the end, this is the tentative conclusion I've come to. This new world we're building is best understood as, at heart, the emergence of what I'm calling the unified digital physical field. That is, it is about the deep merging of the digital realm, the world of information, with the physical world around us, the world of atoms, the world of stuff. We are weaving a layer of information through everything in the physical environment, every object, every vehicle, every human being. And yes, this has been happening for a while. That is not new, but we're reaching something of an inflection point now, thanks to these technologies that we're talking about. And it is a profound shift. And in this talk, I want to talk about three big dimensions of the unified digital physical field, because I think it's such a powerful phenomenon, and I think it's really important for people, for us as innovators, as creators, as technologists, to understand it. There's one other reason I think it's so important, and that is that when we understand the emergence of the unified digital physical field, it allows us this. A new perspective on the technology that everyone is talking about right now, that everyone is very excited about right now, and that is AI. There's been a whole ton of talk about AI across the last year. We all know that. A lot of it driven by this person, Sam Altman, and his company, and we've talked a lot this year about AI and content and ChatGPT and image creation and how AI is going to transform knowledge work, and we've talked a lot about that this morning. And I think that's hugely valuable, and I think AI is going to transform some aspects of knowledge work and creativity. But I think that's only one dimension of the picture. And there's something else even more fundamental happening here. In the unified digital physical field, AI becomes something counterintuitive, something unexpected. AI becomes, in my view, something akin to a form of energy. It becomes infrastructural, it becomes foundational. And that is because intelligence is what does useful work on information. And when information becomes part of the world around us, AI becomes something akin to a new form of energy, a new form of power that fuels everything going on above it. Now, that is all quite theoretical. Let me show you one very quick example before we get started. As I said, we've talked a lot this year already about AI. We've talked essentially about transformer models, large language models, ChatGPT and its incredible language producing capability and how that's fueling diffusion models that give us images, that give us music, as you just heard. But look at what's happening now. You have engineers inside Alphabet's Everyday Robots division essentially hooking up large language models to robots and their machine vision capabilities, and it looks as though this is the start of what will allow robots to truly understand us, understand natural spoken language, and operate in the world as a useful physical partner. So you can say to a robot, hey, I've just spilled my Coke, just tidy it up, will you? And it will. It will understand that, and it will set about enacting a series of actions that will get that done, that will solve the problem. And you don't have to kind of spoon feed it very clear instructions. You can speak to it as you would speak to a human being. This is just one tiny example of what I'm talking about. AI is moving out of the world of the realm of pure information, out of the realm of bits, and into the physical world, into the world of atoms. And that is a profound dimension of the unified digital physical field, of this deep merging of information and physical reality. So like I say, I want to talk about 3 dimensions of the unified digital physical field. Before I dive into them, I just want to start by building this model from the ground up. And to do that, we have to look at what is most foundational about our civilizations, and that is energy, actual energy, physical energy. Energy transfers, obviously, are at the foundation of everything. They power everything in our civilization. They allow us to impose order on physical chaos. They allow us to get everything done. We are on the verge, as you all know, of a tectonic shift when it comes to our relationship with physical energy. The International Energy Agency say that for the first time ever now, under all the scenarios they're gaming out as reasonable, global demand for fossil fuels is about to peak. So they have demand for coal peaking in about 2-3 years, 2025. They have demand for oil peaking in 2035. So this is a historic shift. This is the decoupling of economic growth from fossil fuels for the first time ever inside modernity. And in the meantime, renewable energy is on an incredible tear, and it's on a tear fueled by an insane exponential decrease in the cost of clean energy. There's been like a 99.6% decrease in the cost of electricity from solar panels between the mid-70s and now. That is just a stupendous technological achievement. We are going to see global generation of electricity move from about 30% renewables now to about 90%, 95% renewables by 2050, if we stay on track. That is an if, but given this exponential cost decline, it looks pretty promising. We're going to end up then with this. We're going to end up with a smart, interconnected energy grid that streams a tsunami of data to us constantly. And there are huge challenges around this energy grid. The sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow, you have to manage storage of energy then inside massive batteries. AI will crunch a tsunami of data from billions of sensors and smart meters and climate satellites and all the rest of it, and use that to manage storage and optimization and movement of energy. And only AI can do that. There is absolutely no way human beings can manage the volumes and complexity of information generated by this smart, interconnected energy grid that our civilization will depend on. And what you end up with then is this. This is the most fundamental way that AI, in this new world we're building, becomes foundational, becomes a form of infrastructure. It falls into this close, symbiotic relationship with actual physical energy, where AI allows us to produce more clean energy. The clean energy fuels the AI, which is very energy intensive to drive, and round it goes, and you get this flywheel effect. This is the most important technological relationship in the new world we're building, in my view. It might be, maybe, the most important technological relationship ever, because everything in our civilization, everything going on above this foundational flywheel will be powered by this relationship. If you want to get a little bit more complex about it, it's actually a relationship mediated by two other things, compute power and data. Compute power drives AI. It's very energy intensive, but the more we have, the more AI we can have, the more data we can crunch, the more energy we can create, the more compute we can drive, and round and round and round it goes in a flywheel effect. That is how, fundamentally, AI becomes foundational in this new world we're building. It falls into a symbiotic relationship with physical energy. Okay. Now I want to show you the three really important dimensions of this unified digital physical field and how we'll all see it in the world around us in an everyday reality, what it's going to mean for us. All this energy we're creating will drive a super network of connected objects. Like I say, we're building a world where we're weaving a layer of information through everything in the physical world around us, a layer of data. And we're doing that simply by putting sensors on everything, or almost everything. We talked about robots. There's a new wave of industrial robots coming. You have Amazon adding industrial robots at a rate of about 1,000 per day in its warehouses. Autonomous vehicles clearly are just sort of rolling supercomputers covered in sensors, streaming a tsunami of data about the physical environment around them and using machine vision to make sense of that data. We're covering human beings in sensors with wearable devices too. This is how the super network assembles. We're building a world where everything is connected to everything else, or lots of things are connected. Everything talks to everything else, so that empty supermarket shelf can alert the kind of autonomous delivery vehicles, hey, we've run out of toothpaste. The autonomous delivery vehicles can talk to the robots in the fulfillment center. You have a world that's interconnected. Data is woven through everything, and that is the first aspect, the first dimension of this unified digital physical field. Information runs like a thread through the physical environment, connecting everything. What that's going to do is create even more data, tons and tons, unimaginable amounts of data about the physical environment, about the world around us, generated by the robots, the autonomous vehicles, the sensors on human beings, and so on. We'll be able to do something amazing with that data. We'll be able to use it to build incredible simulations, one-to-one virtual models of physical reality in a simulated space. So we'll be able to bring physical reality into virtual space in incredibly powerful new ways. Just some examples of that. You have Tesla using Unreal Engine 5, made by Epic Games, and it powers Fortnite. But Tesla are using it to build an incredibly sophisticated one-to-one simulation of the city of San Francisco, and they're using that to test their machine vision in this simulation. Okay, this is exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. They have autonomous vehicles driving around San Francisco, streaming a constant tsunami of data about San Francisco as a physical environment. They're using all that data to build a virtual San Francisco in Unreal Engine 5 and test their technologies there. But if you really want to look at the future of simulations, of bringing the physical into virtual space, go and take a look at NVIDIA's Omniverse. NVIDIA obviously have had an incredible year. They became a $1 trillion company, and that's driven mainly by the fact that they supply the compute, they supply the chips that allow for the training of these massive AI models. But this, Omniverse, is the technology that I think can help propel them even to the next level. Omniverse is a simulation platform that takes their expertise in 3D representations of the world, takes their expertise in AI, and empowers the user to build incredibly sophisticated simulations of physical reality in virtual space. Have a quick video of this to bring it to life for you. Just check this out. Have a look. Okay, it's a tiny fragment of NVIDIA's revenue right now, but I think it's going to grow immensely. Just have a look at the relationship BMW are building with Omniverse. Building a car is a fiendishly complex physical process. It's thousands of human beings, thousands of robots, all working in concert to put about 30,000 physical components together to build a car at a rate of about 1 car per minute. BMW build about 2.5 million cars a year, and they're constantly releasing new models. And when they do that, they have to reconfigure their factories so that it can build the new model of the car. And to do that, they have to pause the factory. And those pauses last days. And when you're pumping out cars at a rate of 1 per minute, pausing your factory for days really, really hurts. They're now using Omniverse to manage these reconfigurations in simulated space first, so they can get the configuration right and only then bring it to the physical factory. And if you listen to their CEO and their senior people, it is transforming the way BMW work. Pauses that used to last for days now only have to last for hours. And that is transformational. They're about to build a huge electric car factory in Debrecen in Hungary, and they are going to simulate the entire factory in Omniverse, make it essentially a twin of the physical space, and interweave the two, so that when the physical space changes, the simulated space changes automatically, and vice versa. But you have a ton of interesting people using Omniverse. You have Kroger's in the US using it to model customer flows around their stores. You have Amazon using it to simulate their fulfillment centers. This is all pointing in one direction, and even Omniverse is only one fragment of it. And that direction is towards a mirror world, towards the creation of a one-to-one model of the entire of physical reality in virtual space. A mirror world in virtual space of the physical world around us. And that is the second big dimension of the unified digital physical field. So you have this super network of connected objects out there in physical reality. That creates a ton of data. The data allows us to model physical reality in virtual space, and over time the two become interwoven and they start to talk to one another. They become unified. And finally, the third dimension, all of this comes together. The unified digital physical field really comes together, and many of us will experience it this way through mixed reality, or what we sometimes call augmented reality. And to talk about this, I have to utter a word that I hesitate to use on a conference stage in 2023, the metaverse. I think we all know that we are deep in a metaverse winter right now, after the excitement, some might say the hype of 2021, but the fundamentals of what made the metaverse interesting back then. I think the word is due to be retired, but the fundamentals of what made the idea interesting are still in place, they're still interesting, and they're still evolving. We're building towards a world where we can drop a digital layer, a layer of representation around our view of the world around us. So this, of course, is Snapchat. We all know Snapchat. Oh, hello, there's some music playing as well with it. We all remember Snapchat. This is Magic Leap. But the technology is continuing to evolve. We also saw Apple release its Play to be a part of this movement, the Vision Pro. That's going to drop a digital layer, a layer of representation around the world, over the world around us too. And this is where the unified digital physical field really comes together. We drop this layer of representation over the world around us. And over time, the boundaries between what is information, what is representation, and what is physical reality start to blur into irrelevance. And in another talk, I could get quite philosophical about all that. I mean, what are we as human beings? How can we characterize ourselves? I spend a lot of time thinking about that too. One good answer to that is we are representation-building creatures. We build representations of the world around us. We do that with language, we do it with pictures. Now the representations of the world that we build are becoming part of the world. The two are merging. And that, to me, is a profound shift, and that is the ultimate characteristic of the unified digital physical field. The representations of the world we build are merging, are becoming part of the world itself. That is a huge shift. Okay, so put all this together. You have energy and AI falling into this close symbiotic relationship with physical energy so that it becomes foundational, it becomes a form of infrastructure that powers everything going on above it. All that energy powers a super network of connected objects. They stream a tsunami of data that allows us to model physical space in virtual space, and it all comes together in mixed reality that allows us to drop this layer of representation over our view of the world around us. And this is the essence of the unified digital physical field. And I think that that field is the big innovation platform for the coming decades. It is a deep shift that is going to play out across decades, and we're only at the beginning of figuring out what it really means. And in this world, AI becomes akin to a form of energy. We're used to thinking of AI as something quite abstract, or intelligence as quite abstract, something quite ethereal. In this world, it becomes akin to a form of energy, akin to a form of infrastructure, and that is because intelligence is what does useful work on information. And when information becomes part of the world around us, intelligence becomes a form of power that does useful work on that information. It's a big shift in the way we think about intelligence. Like I say, we're used to thinking of it as very rare and as the highest expression of what makes us human. Okay? But it's actually now becoming abundant, and it's becoming at the foundations of everything around us. It's going to drive this unified digital physical field that will be our reality. And here is Sam Altman saying something very similar on Twitter in 2021. He was 2 years ahead of me. How dare he? Okay, I want to close by thinking very quickly about what this means for you. What does it mean for people like you? Oh, if I can click. Yeah, people like you, digital innovators, technologists, media people. Well, look, if you make products, if you make physical objects, how do they change when they become part of this super network that is emerging now, when a layer of information is woven through them? What other objects can they talk to? What else can they do? What else can they become? How are they different in this emerging super network? How can you simulate those physical products in virtual space, or simulate the processes that give rise to those products in virtual space? Who would like access to those simulations? What will they tell us? How will they be useful? Think about that. If you make digital services, how can those digital services, those digital products change in a world where representation and reality is merging, where we're dropping a layer of representation over our view of the world around us? And what can you do with abundant intelligence? And just very quickly, and we'll get into this more in the AI panel later, we have to decouple, as we heard this morning, something that we've always thought of as very much paired, and that is consciousness and intelligence. I'm not saying consciousness is becoming abundant, but intelligence is something different. And we're going to see a decoupling of those two things. We're accustomed to a world where conscious beings, ourselves, are the only beings that are truly have higher intelligence. That world is fading away. We're going to have non-conscious beings, AIs, that have intelligence now, and that intelligence will be abundant. Unlike human intelligence, it will be endless and on tap. What can you do with it? Like I say, this new world we're building, the unified digital physical field, is the big innovation platform for the next 2, 3, 4 decades. We're only at the beginning of figuring out what it really means. Just like you heard from Matt, it took us years after the advent of the internet to think, oh, hey, like, we could put a button there and sell things, or, we could sell software as a service instead of in a box. It's going to be the same with the unified digital physical field. It will take us years, decades, to truly work through the implications. But bear it in mind, put it at the heart of your understanding of the apparently chaotic change that is happening now. Constantly refer back to this underlying thought, the merger of the realm of bits and the realm of atoms. And I think that will really fuel your innovation and take it to very interesting places. But that is more than enough for me for now. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Oh, please stay on. We've got a little bit of time for questions and answers.
In that case, I will.
My goodness. Okay.
Thank you.
Your first question then. This feels like a game show now because you're standing by your first.
What can I win?
Okay. I would like to know your favourite digital-physical interaction. Like, where's your favourite layer?
Goodness, that is a very good question. I mean, I think what NVIDIA are doing with Omniverse is absolutely incredible. I think that the consequences of being able to mirror physical processes in virtual space are profound because we're stuck with one physical reality, and when we make mistakes in it, they stick, and people get hurt, things get damaged, we can only do it once. We're building a mirror reality that we can experiment and play with endlessly, and that is just going to have profound implications for innovation. I mean, I'm, as all of us, I'm endlessly online. My favorite digital interaction at the moment is when I put my phone down and go for a walk.
Oh, yes.
And try to cleanse myself of the digital. But it's going to get ever harder to do.
Yes. I mean, you're talking about digital twin here, which has been in use for things like Formula One. They've got like models of the race car. And from a sound perspective, they use sound analysis to work out when engines are going to go a bit weird. So we're not just talking about sort of visual attributes here. We're talking about sort of all multimodal attributes too.
Yeah. And like you say, I mean, you're absolutely fascinating talk, and the things that AI is going to be able to discern about physical reality are going often to be alien and quite different to what we can discern. And then we have the chance to start to see, and this taps into the very first talk of the day, to start to see reality around us. Just get a glimpse of seeing that through the eyes, so to speak, of a form of intelligence that's utterly different to our own, and that will allow us to extract new things from physical reality and do all kinds of new things, but no one really understands yet what those things will be or how that's going to play out.
I have a final question. Do you think the future, instead of us going out into nature, would be to wear a full-body haptic suit and simulate it?
I hope not, and I think that, and I'll get into this more in the panel. One of the most important thoughts about this new world we're building is that when intelligence becomes abundant and when it's on tap, and when it can sort of do anything for you at the touch of a button, what is left for human beings? What's left in the end is subjective experience, is what is truly unique to us, and at the end of this long journey of technology and technique where everything is turned into a procedure that technology can do, what is left is one another, and I hope that leads us to a world where we're able to allow intelligence to do all kinds of wonderful things for us, and we do for each other what only we can truly do for one another, which is see one another, be with one another, care about one another, those things. So not the haptic suit, but a reimagining of human community is what I hope we can move towards from this.
It sounds similar to the E&M Bank's culture model there, and I recommend those books if you fancy a strange look into benevolent AIs, just watching humans get on with stuff. David, Mattin, that was astonishing. Thank you ever so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Look forward to the panel.
Thank you.